Welcome to the Flagler County Board County Commissioners Workshop. Today is Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. It is 1:30 p.m. If you'll stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'd like to take a moment of silence to pray and reflect on the men and women who are serving us here and abroad. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is our general fund budget presentation. Brian, good afternoon, sir. Mr. Dance is not in attendance today.
Brian Eckinger, Financial Services. So like all the other workshops, we're talking real high level. We'll go through it. If you guys have any questions, stop me at any time. So get started. Today's agenda, we'll look at, sorry. Yeah.
You want questions as you go?
Yeah, if you have anything on a specific department, we can talk.
Thank you.
We also have the department heads in the back if you have any more specific questions. Today's agenda, we'll go through the general fund division budgets. We'll talk about the effect of the proposed homestead exemption and the 10% cut exercise that you guys had requested. All right, so first off, we just have 2 slides of high-level overview rolling up all of the general fund divisions. On here, when we're talking about administration, we're rolling up legal, the BOCC budget, administration, and communications, now public affairs, which I'll tell you, I have it messed up in the slides. It says communication still, but you'll know what I mean. And then I'm going to switch to the next, which again is just continuing the other divisions. All right, so before we jump into this, there was some discussion about zero-based budgeting in the past couple of months. So traditional zero-based budgeting doesn't really exist anymore. It got really popular in the 70s, kind of fizzles out in the 80s. So what we did was we did a modified approach, which a modified approach to zero-based budgeting for BOCC, your division, administration, OMB, and OPC this year. So we'll go over those.
Admin, what was the other one?
Your budget, BOCC, admin, OMB, my budget, OPC, which is procurement.
Okay.
And so that zero-based, that modified style, really just taking an additional look. So we had already submitted our budgets that we were comfortable with and then gave it another go through to ensure that we were really digging in and saying, do we need to do these things? Another piece of context for this is probably the most aggressive budget reviews that I've seen with this administration team. You know, we were fighting over $15 in some budget meetings, so know that a lot of effort was put in from Adam and John. Every budget you're going to see today is 2.3% COLA. We have removed merit pay, so all we have is COLA. There are no additional FTEs in the general fund. We have a net decrease of 9.25 FTEs. You will see reorganization of IT, which I'll go into when we hit those slides, which was just shifting some from other funds and other divisions and kind of getting it set up for some effects with the CAD system.
Was IT the only one that was reorganized? Was IT?
They're the ones that you're going to see most of the shifting. So where net they didn't change, they moved between, but you have an additional FTE got added to.
No, I don't want numbers. I just want to know, did communications get renamed, recalled, switched? What did they do?
So I believe in here they're still named communications, but technically the division is public affairs now.
Public affairs.
Yes, and that's my bad. I didn't update the slide.
That's fine.
they received a FTE in this fiscal year, not for 20, we're not giving them an additional FTE in 27.
We're losing FTE from the adult daycare, land management, social services.
Yep. Adult daycare, 5.2.
I'm not worried
Oh,
about
sorry.
numbers. I'm just wanted to know the name. I got a little bit messed up on communications and public affairs.
Yeah.
It got me around in a circle a little bit, so that's all I'm asking.
yep.
Okay.
All right, so first up, Board of County Commissioners. The real takeaway from the zero base, other than just adjusting your travel budget where we could and knowing that it's hard because we know we're going to have at least one new commissioner, possibly two. They might want to go to different trainings, so not trying to gut it too hard, but still leaving some maneuverability there. The one thing we did cut that we wanted to bring to your attention was the Chamber of Commerce dues. $5,000, we removed that. The thought process there was we're the county. Should we really be paying $5,000 to be part of the Chamber of Commerce? So if that's something you want to add back, we could add it back, but that was the big change
Was that in total or per person?
in total. Next up is administration. So big decreases here. We took longevity pay out of administration and put it to whatever department had it. So if I was up for my 10-year longevity payment, there would be money in OMB to pay for it rather than having it all sit in here. We cut some memberships. The largest one was ICMA. If the next administrator is a member of ICMA, then obviously we can add that back in the 28 or whenever the timing happens. And then we moved 0.3% of Rose's position out of public affairs / communications into administration.
Of Rose's?
Of Rose's position. Mm-hmm. She was there currently, 30% of her.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And that's been at least probably 5 years, if not more than that. All right, next up, communications.
Here we go.
Public affairs. So 30% of Rose came out. They did get that additional FTE this year. And their big decrease in operating was in printing and binding. They went back and kind of came up with specifics for, I think there's rock cards and other collateral peripheral printouts, so just fine tuning it more. Next up is the county attorney's
Can I
budget.
go back?
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. So again, I have the FTE spreadsheet that you have. So there's a net change of +1 in Board of County Commissioners, County Administration, and Public Affairs, previous communications. There's a +1.
So that is the reclassing of the position from emergency management that happened in this fiscal year. So it would just carry over into 27.
I don't see it that way. That's not the way it shows on the spreadsheet.
So emergency management is not adding back the position,
Not this time, no.
so it makes it a point.
Oh, it's because the employee came from
From
emergency management, not because of any other reason.
Correct.
So you're moving that person
From
over
EM
to
into public affairs.
public affairs. Okay. So it's not really a net 1. It's,
Just a movement.
Correct.
okay. Thank you.
All right, county attorney, the big decrease in their operating budget, it was reducing some funding for title work. Most of the title work that we're doing is related to the beach, so we don't really need to hold such a large amount in the county attorney budget. If something was to come up specifically, we could address that at the time that it came to you as an agenda item.
Is there a increase for the attorney for Mr. Rodriguez's position? We have not done an evaluation yet, but is there any increase other than COLA for him?
Yes, we would have done whatever his contract calls for. So if he had a merit clause, I know Al's was like a guaranteed 3%, assuming his,
Okay.
whatever the contract called for, we included that. Next up, economic development. Their decrease in operating was tied to advertising. They decided that when we looked at actuals, it was more in line with what they were actually spending, so we brought it down to match that. All right, OMB, as I mentioned before, this is one that we took the modified zero-based budget approach. We got rid of, we're taking one less employee to conferences at each conference. We removed a public hearing. We have every year we budget for a mid-year adjustment. It doesn't need to happen, so we're accepting that as just, we'll have to take care of it later in the year when we do the next one. We cut the budget book building software that was, I think last year we had implemented. That was a previous administration decision. We just felt like we weren't getting bang for our buck, so we've gotten rid of that as well.
Is that the big, thick book with the spiral?
No, that's probably the audit you're thinking of, the spiral. Ours we just produce digitally, and upon request we print it for you guys, but we generally don't print the budget book anymore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up is OPC. Their big increase was for inventory overage account. So OPC is in charge of the warehouse and the fuel, and anytime there is a miscount on anything, they have to eat the charges.
So it's in line with what we're doing this year?
Correct. Mm-hmm. All right, next up is HR. Two big decreases in theirs. We have gotten rid of the summer internship program, so that's bringing down their personnel costs. And then in operating, we've moved tuition reimbursement back into pooled, a decision made by administration. There's no right or wrong, just feeling that it's more appropriate in pooled.
Pooled what?
Pooled expenditures, that's the name of the division.
Is it in line with what we spent this year? 205,000?
That's their entire operating budget. Tuition reimbursements, $30,000,
Okay.
and it's definitely in line. Even when we take out, and we'll have a future agenda item related to Heidi's leave payout, had tuition reimbursement in it, so we used some of that funding. So probably in the July meeting, we'll come back and finally rectify all those changes that occurred through her payout. But even with that, 30,000 is still within reason.
Okay.
Next up is Veteran Services. Their big decrease was for funding for the Veterans Day Parade. Again, just more in line with what they're actually spending. And then we've removed the grants and aids. That's for people that are actively deployed. They can get a grant to pay them back for their property taxes. We just haven't ever had it. Nobody's ever asked for it. Maybe the qualifications are difficult. I don't know. But again, not that we're taking the program off the table, they would still be able to apply for it. And if we had anybody, we'd come back and ask for money from reserves to cover.
Is that compliant with the amount of veterans that have moved to another, out of the area, or other vacations, or I mean other locations, if they've passed away? I don't know if that's on a continual basis being followed, or those benefits going to the spouses. I know there's a lot of details with it, but it doesn't look like it's much of a jump.
Yeah, I don't think it has any, I don't want to say there's no direct correlation to it, but the office runs very efficiently, and in this particular case, that grant program, nobody has ever, as long as I've been here, gotten any funding out of that program. So.
Okay, thank you.
Under personnel, there's a $20,000 increase. 2 people?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
The math doesn't add up on
Correct.
that one.
There was a mid-year adjustment. that was made to, I think, one position, and it might have been before Adam's time.
We're currently at one FTE because Eric is retiring, right?
Retiring, right?
Yeah.
they're
So
gonna
when you
replace
hire
him.
back, can you not do an adjustment?
Yeah,
Back
so
to the-
if we hire somebody who's, not as well-versed and wouldn't dictate that type of salary, we would adjust
So the
them.
person that got the mid-year adjustment, are they also going to get COLA this year?
Yes, all employees are entitled to COLA.
Was that a favor? Was it a bump because of longevity? What was the jump?
Yeah, I think that was before you, Adam. Yeah. I would have to go back
On the
and
way
look.
out the door.
But
Maybe Charlie knows. Was it Eric or was it
Well, I
David?
don't know if- We need to know.
With the position, what position was it?
Charlie Picano, HR
Hi,
Director. I need to look back, but I think it was a bump to both positions based on a study of local veteran services officers where they were paid based on their years of service. Both Eric has been here a very long time, and then same with David. So I can get the information and bring it back to you guys.
Well, no, I just needed, you answered the question.
Yeah, something that was brought up to us.
The question is, we were under budgeted in 25, 26, based on the information you knew when we did the budget last year, right? So how did it get paid out? I mean, who paid it? Where'd the money come from? Reserves?
Yeah, I don't know.
so we would transfer from any division that had excess fees. So say in my department, I have a vacant position, we could transfer funding to cover that.
So we're good right now, we just need COLA working forward, and you feel comfortable at the current? Will you bring the new person on at the same rate that the old person left? No. Okay.
No, I'm assuming we wouldn't. I mean, we're going to post a job now, but no, that would be, I mean, the bump was based on the years of service that Eric was here.
I think this could be
Yeah,
adjusted.
it won't come in the same.
Okay, thank you.
So then those figures would be changing when they hire.
Yes, and basically we do
Yeah,
that for every
reduced.
department. So, we're coming to you now in June. Before we bring the tentative, people will come and go, depending on how large the salary is. Sometimes it makes a giant effect, and sometimes it will have no effect. So don't get married to any of these numbers by the time you get the tentative. Some will change. All right, next up is the risk management division within HR. Primary increase is just our estimate from the insurance company on what we expect premiums to be. And again, another number that as time goes on, we'll get better data and hopefully be able to decrease it. And this is after doing, I think we're in our third year of doing the self-insured fund, so already taking steps to bring down the overall costs that we're paying to the insurance company. All right, next up is land management. We cut the land management manager, and I forget his actual title, but, and we have decreased the amount of funding for prescribed burns. Next up is natural resource land. So this is the division that holds their geographically restricted funding, Princess Place, Haw Creek, those places. So it's using money that's derived on the site, so this isn't really an opportunity to cut. It just gives them the opportunity to do the things they need to do at these sites from the revenue generated there. Okay. So I mentioned briefly there, we've done some reorganization within the IT department, shifting partial FTEs out of other funds and other divisions and putting them throughout. No net zero effect, no additional FTEs. And the big reason behind this is as staff is negotiating with the municipalities on how much they're contributing for the CAD system, we wanted to put the two people that work on the CAD system in the E911 fund. That way we have a little truer representation of the cost to the county.
This is only for CAD.
So the change happened because
Because
of
of
CAD.
CAD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was under what, public safety software?
Yeah, you'll see them as a
Right. So
zero
you
under
still got
that.
a net 0.6 FTE
Mm-hmm.
for IT.
So really, that's the big change. So you're seeing most of the people leaving.
You added in IT communications, which I guess I'm going to assume is Carlos.
No, Arlene. But yeah,
Arlene,
yeah.
okay. That's where the FTE.
So the big changes here are the adding those people from those other divisions into innovation and technology, which is kind of their big holding department.
But did we not lose contracts with 2 municipalities because our price went up, the price quote to manage the municipalities' work?
I know we lost Flagler Beach. I don't know what the second one was.
Well, you lost the sheriff a couple of years ago.
Oh,
So
okay. So-
our pricing tends to go up, and our FTEs go up. And whatever job those people were doing, or that person was doing, what are they doing if they're not working on municipality, on that contract?
So when we lost the sheriff's office, we decreased, I believe it was 3.5 FTEs at that moment. Since losing the Flagler Beach contract, we're basically just giving staff the ability to focus more on us. Not that they didn't have work to do at Flagler Beach, but it was a smaller operation. So we have more than enough work for the existing FTE to remain and still provide us with help.
So you're going to hold by your statement that there was not a 0.6 FTE change in IT? I know you restructured, but
Yes.
on this sheet, it says total innovation technology plus 0.6.
In that division, they're in other funds. So if you go to the
okay.
next page, you'll see it under Fund 1182, Fund 1103. Yeah, that's 1103, yeah. Yeah,
It's a net zero.
net zero.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and their operating increase is tied to additional Microsoft licenses. That's it. Next up, GIS. Again, more of the reorganization, taking them out of 1103, putting them into the general fund. And their big decrease was software systems. Oh, I'm sorry. Software system split with the E911 fund because they do kind of do similar things. Next up is cybersecurity. Their big decrease in their operating budget was the removal of software deployment software. Next up is IT project management, and their big decrease, approximately $40,000, was for a BDA, which helps with communication inside buildings, bidirectional amplifier. So we're making sure that when we do projects from here on out, that every one of them includes funding for those things, that once the building is created, we don't go into a panic and say, IT, we need you to go add this thing. So making sure it's captured in the true cost of a project, eliminating it as an operating expense for IT.
So do we have any buildings that need to keep going down? I mean, I know we did the courthouse a while back, right?
Yes. At this time, I believe we don't have any others. All right, so this is the public safety software that we've been talking about. So this is just a fancy title for CAD. So we've taken the 2 FTEs out of here. We've put it into Fund 1103, the E911 fund. We are working with the municipalities to get additional revenue from them for their portion of the CAD system, just the software itself. We're not even saying specifically the people. And that increase is basically just a contractual increase and the portion that would be paid by the municipalities. The county's portion, which covers the sheriff's office, is being paid out of Fund 1103.
So we're working on Palm Coast based on usage.
Yeah, call for volume, or volume.
Volume.
Yeah, that's how they were going to divide
So we
it out.
should have, based on that, more revenue from Palm Coast, right?
Correct, yeah.
But we'll break even. We're not making money on this, right?
Oh, God, no.
but
no.
Exactly. It's not.
I mean, we're getting paid for what we're
it-
doing, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got to keep up with the technology, but
And part of the issue is when the last set of agreements existed, we pre-put in dollar amounts that say, I'm just going to make up the number. Flagler Beach is going to pay $15,000. And it's like, you didn't know what was going to come in addition to that. You have a maximum amount of what the contract was going to be. But ultimately, the county was still bearing the lion's share of it and then charging the sheriff for his portion based on the number of licenses. So while both formulas for deciding how much you're going to charge are acceptable, the call for volume is more in line with the industry standards. All right, next up is UAS. This is the drone program, and their big decrease came from not replacing certain equipment. Basically, just that we weren't having deterioration of things like batteries and things for the drone. So as they've gotten more useful life out of it, we don't need to replace as many things. This is the new division for this year, IT Communications. So the FTE came out of the first IT line that we talked about. And then the operating expenditures are really just pulled from pooled expenditures where all of the internet service was paid for and some other expenditures within 0403.
I have a quick question. Sorry, I was trying to think through on the unmanned, back for just a moment. Have we done any kind of studies to see how often we're running the drones versus what it would cost on a third party doing it? I know we did in the beginning because we were doing so much of the LiDAR and the beach. But is that year after year, we're needing the drone program?
Gotcha. So we haven't-
And that's probably not a you, maybe that's something to look into, that, is this being used relatively, I see, IT.
So to fill time while he walks up here. So basically, we know every time we shoot the beach, we're dropping at least $70,000. So
Yeah.
you do it pre and post storm, you're almost paying for the
I don't
department.
think
but-
the public understands the drone. I remember how much the LiDARs were coming in at, but are we continuing at that pace to need the drone system? I guess that's my question.
Chris Torres, IT Special Programs. Yes, so what the team does is annually we go and we will quote from vendors what that operation would cost the county, and we keep a rolling ROI calculator so that
That's what I was wondering.
we have it detailed in the dashboard where we can see exactly what missions we've run that year and how much we would have paid
Good, yeah.
to where we do it for the in-house cost.
Yep. That's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Did you have any questions on this one?
No, I'm good. Did anyone have any questions on this?
All right, next up is HHS admin. We have decreased one FTE from this division. And then the decrease in their operating comes from originally when we set up the 26 budget, we were going to fully insure the Nexus Center. Administration decided that we were only going to do the contents on the building, so that's why you're seeing a decrease, and they're splitting it with the library budget as well.
So we have a savings by insuring the interior of the Nexus, and you're splitting it between library and HHS?
Both HHS admin and the Benel Library are paying proportionately at 55, 45. I don't know what the split is off the top
Because
of
of
my
the
head.
attachment of the two buildings.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
All right, next up is Human Services Division. We have increases to outside agency funding tied to the cold weather shelter. We've asked the municipalities to provide additional funding. We all go in proportionately, and this will allow us to provide additional funding to the, I think it's the sheltering tree that holds it, but don't quote me on that, and to provide more nights. We've gotten very close to running out.
Last year we did.
So to provide more nights. Public assistance also went up by $10,000. We have requested additional funding from the city of Palm Coast to help with the Palm Coast utility payments that we provide.
Can we, I thought the cold weather shelter was going to come to the Expo Center when
Right.
the Expo Center's done. Why aren't we bringing that in-house? That was, I thought that was one of the deals with the Expo Center. The cots, the food, the laundry, everything is sitting there. Why do we continue to fund the shelter at the Rock Church, Church on the Rock?
I think that's just changed.
Yeah, part of what will happen, Joe, go ahead, Joe.
If I may, thank you.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe Hegedus, Director, Health and Human Services. There's been conversations back and forth with the cold weather shelter. I don't think we've just solidified plans and put forth proposals for you all and leasing and that kind of thing. But so at this point, it's more of conversation with the folks there. And
So we're at, I'm probably wrong, we're at $1,000 a night, 24 nights a year. Is that where we are
yes.
right now?
Yes,
They've not gone up on the price of $1,000?
since the inception.
What's
of the-
happening is we're just getting colder than usual. Because I know one
More
year we
nights.
tipped it. I know one year I think it was last year, not this
Last year
past
was
year,
really
but the year.
cold.
Yeah.
We
yeah.
had snow.
Yeah, we had more nights of
Do
activation.
they, are we in a contract with them, or is it just?
We do.
We have a contract?
We have a contract with the cold weather shelter group, yep.
Okay, and the terms of the contract, are we allowed out? Are we able to line something up before December if we're able to?
Certainly, yes, we would be.
We got the email that this thing's opening June 1st, so,
Well, so we'll be doing a new contract with the vendor for the new fiscal year, and that would start October.
October,
and-
okay,
and
so we
run-
have a
So that would
chance.
theoretically cover the timeframe that we're looking at, yeah.
Won't be cold.
So
think
I
the
just want to make a statement. I'm not saying this is how we're going to handle it because it's not me. That's not my specialty. But there are several churches that want to get involved in a cold weather shelter, not just one. And you have plenty of churches that have and know what a cold weather shelter is. So if you're worried about volunteers or food prep or anything like that, there are many churches in Flagler County that are equipped
Step up.
that would step up and take a night or a week in Ormond Beach. I used to do it on a weekly. I would sign up for 1 week. We might not be open any days, we might be open 2, but that church takes those days.
Right.
So I know it's an added cost, but I don't think it's a $24,000 cost to us at $1,000 a night to open that shelter.
No, and again, we break this out amongst the 4 jurisdictions, so we're 1/4 of that cost, so 6,000 currently. With the slight increase, I think we would go up to
So all
10.
four municipalities pay $6,000 a year, no matter
Currently,
how
yes.
many people come from their municipality.
Yes. Assuming we use all 24 nights. I mean, we bill
Right.
based on the number of
I
nights, but
understand, it's
yes.
by night, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good idea.
So yeah, we're trying to get all of them to chip in equitably and
Good.
go forward from there, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Next is senior services.
Oh, I'm sorry, can we go back to outside funding? You probably know. So that includes those nominal, although very important, don't hear it wrong, the Pastor Solano
Do we
and
have a
the-
list of the
I'm sorry,
agencies?
there were like 10 or 11, if I remember from last year, groups that we give to. We reviewed last year what the grant process was, so we know that somebody's watching and holding on to the funding and making sure that it's used properly.
Yes, ma'am,
It's just whether or not we can afford to keep doing that or not.
that's right.
And what number of that outside agency funding is it? How much is it? 30,000,
That was 50 last year,
21,000,
wasn't it?
50,000? Do you remember?
You're specifically about the food banks?
Yeah, food banks and/or what other,
Family Life, we have the
Family
Grace Food Bank.
do you remember that list? Joe, how many, how much
That's
is
always
it?
on the
Detail.
not required list.
Yes, I
It's
know
always
that.
on that list.
I know that.
So there's, I believe, a total of 10 organizations that we fund. The amount varies. Some it's as low as a few thousand,
Right.
some it's upwards of 100. But again, to your point, yes, we review their contracts each year,
Yep.
quarterly, follow performance.
So how much of the 470,000?
All of that is outside
organizations, funding to outside agencies.
Oh, my.
Do we have the list available? Or can we find it while we're
I
meeting?
can pull it up and, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Again, that was when we considered sources that were not required to pay, that was on there.
Right.
So we
And
said-
if only
we
6
said,
of that
okay,
is the
we'll pay
cold
it.
weather shelter, I thought all the
We're not.
24,000 was in there, but if we're only paying
We're not
6.
obligated to the amount, or,
No, we're not at all.
yeah, we try to,
I mean, we
you
could
know,
go to zero.
right.
and, you know,
I was going to say, that's part of our cut.
yeah. So I think that's important to look just at.
And Commissioner Carney, all 24,000 is in here, but then we get reimbursed. So we have to spend it and then we get reimbursed by the other municipalities.
Municipalities.
So you budget the full amount?
Correct.
Okay,
You then get revenue back.
okay, thank you.
Senior services, we've got an increase to the EHEAP grant, and OAA grant funding has shifted from the congregate meals into this budget, so you'll see a decrease in congregate meals.
So we're putting congregate meals into that.
Yeah, some portion of it now falls into the senior services program.
Got it.
Next up, adult daycare. The current direction is to not fund for next year, so. Congregate meals, this is where we see the decrease of what went into senior services as part of the OAA grant. All right, next up is the Palm Coast Library. Operating decrease related to insurance premiums on the Palm Coast Library also came in higher when we were budgeting, so we're adjusting for that. And we've moved some, we've moved some expenditures that now that we have the Nexus Center, they're housing different technologies and things in the Nexus, so we've seen a drop in the Palm Coast for those things.
So you're saying the insurance premiums came in higher, so they're what, self-insuring?
No. So the estimate we had for the Palm Coast Library was high.
Okay.
So then when what we actually spent this year, we were just
it.
adjusting
Okay.
it. Naturally recognizing there's going to be a markup from last year to this year, but that overall it can still come down. Next up, Vanilla Library, also known as the Nexus Center, or at the Nexus Center. So again, this goes back to the things shifting from the Palm Coast branch into the Nexus Center and kind of getting that first year of data to see what the actual expenditures are. So for things like custodial, figuring out how much the room was going to be rented for, how often you need to have somebody come in and clean. So it's just kind of getting established for the new size of the footprint of that new building.
Are we still paying rent on the Bunnell temporary library?
No, that ended this year.
Okay, is that reflected in here?
It would have been a decrease in their operating budget, so.
Do you think we'll see any numbers or how the Nexus Center rental program is going versus what it's costing? Some of the comments, I think when we first approved the pay, or not the pay, but the fees schedule, several of us thought they were a little light at some point. Are we going to be able to do any kind of is there enough data yet to do an analysis on that?
I'm not sure. They were, did I do that? No. Other people are doing things. Okay, I'm just
No?
saying we will do the analysis.
Well, we were looking for a 6-month comeback because we thought we were going to need personnel, but it doesn't look that way.
Started, I
I've not
think, in
received one
February.
complaint about either operation. So not from a personnel thing, but I know that the activity level over there has gotten quite high.
We were targeting to come back in August, and so that, but
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holly
Hi,
Albanese,
Holly.
Library Director. The plan is to come back, one of the meetings in August
Okay.
with Commissioner O'Brien because, Mr. O'Brien, because he is now the chair of the Board of Trustees. So he's going to be presenting on how the library's doing, as well as giving you an update about the rentals. We'll be doing all of that. So we should have all your revenues. As far as expenditures, that's going to be a little harder because it's kind of lumped into the building. So like utilities and congregate meals uses half the room every single day, and they're using the ovens and all of that. So that does add into the utilities as well. I can tell you just off the top that we've had a lot of free events. So any governments, local governments, or county entities, those types of things have all been free. As far as the amounts that, because we look, there was question about, especially the AV equipment. I think that was a major concern at not being high enough. City of Palm Coast, almost like the day after we did our fees, went ahead and did their fees, and they're lower than us at this point. Now, our venue is very different than theirs. They're really a true community center. We're more of, I call it an experience, with our kitchen is larger than theirs and everything, but their numbers did come in a little bit lower. So we have had some competition as far as that's concerned with some, local organizations that are looking at getting, the space for less money.
And was that, I just don't remember saying that that certain people don't have to pay for it. It's because they already pay taxes, right? I mean, why is a government entity not paying for the
It's
space?
in the policy that was approved, where it basically says that. Now, when we bring it back in August, if you want to modify those things, we can.
It's been county, right? County.
County departments, constitutionals,
Correct, like
and
these emergency
because I guess we also work with, say, the school board and the local municipalities.
Yep.
So those are the ones that I'm referring to.
It's been helpful for us because they reciprocate with us. And so that when we need the facility, we've had something at Palm Coast Community Center. I think that they've given us that facility for free.
Understood, as long as they're not having galas every month and making a profit. I mean, it's community space, right? So I get it.
Yeah, like for instance, we just had the FPC Band Awards.
I was there.
Yes, and that was a huge event.
And he was very proud to say he was at the Nexus Center. And that he got it for free.
He did.
Yep. And that's great. Got a lot of press out of that.
Yes, so
But-
it's those types of
But
events.
you were also there till probably 10 o'clock at night, cleaning up, moving all those chairs.
Right.
So we have to have a realistic. And Palm Coast, when we meet at Palm Coast for the REC, we have to be out of there by 8 o'clock or we're thrown out. So,
We're punished.
there's some things we have to look at, that's all.
Right now, in the policies, we give the groups, and because we're also renting for weddings and everything, we're giving them till 11 o'clock at night, and then we give them 1 extra hour for cleaning, so they could essentially be there till midnight. And I did have a group just reach out today. They're looking for July 5th, basically from like 3 in the afternoon till midnight, so. But that's paying.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just worried about staff burnout. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about the facility. We can't keep, we can't come back and say we got to renovate the bathrooms in 2 years because, with all this usage, but yet revenue is only revenue. You're still going to spend it somewhere. There's nothing free. So we're just going to make sure we stay on top of the costs. And I know you are, and hopefully you're taking comp time for some of this. I know it's going to wear on you. I know it is. So,
Yes, already is.
yeah.
No,
I'm
I don't
sure.
mind doing it.
Well,
I love what I do, so.
got an assistant at the library side of it to keep things running if you have to take comp time or do any of that stuff?
I do. I have a branch manager
Okay.
who oversees the operations of the actual library portion of the Nexus Center. And I do have an assistant who, during library hours of operation, will help me with setting up. And also, we utilize general services to help in many of the larger large-scale events.
Okay.
So, we do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next up, engineering. The big decrease in their operating budget is decreasing training and education costs, more in line with the actuals being spent every year. Emergency management, as we previously discussed, decrease of 1 FTE that was shifted to public affairs / communications. Fire Rescue Administration. So we have shifted the battalion chiefs and community paramedics into the fire and EMS divisions. Again, more in line with the work they're actually performing. Less administrative work, more frontline. Big decrease in fire rescue. On the operating side is decrease in vehicle insurance premiums. So we hold comp and collision on all of our lights and sirens vehicles. And then the capital, they just weren't in step for any rolling stock replacements. So that's the decrease for them. For EMS, we're still replacing 2 rescues every year. That's the capital expense. Operating, the big increase there was tied to EMS billing. So it costs more money, but we make more money. So there's an offset there.
So, Brian, I remember last time we talked about EMS collection. It was behind. Did we ever catch up with any of those funds?
Are you talking about the write-off or when we
Write-off.
switched the vendor?
The write-off, did we
Okay.
continue to pursue it any?
Yeah, so we write it off of the books, right? So accounts receivable goes down. That doesn't stop us from collecting any money. We basically just are not expecting it anymore. The new vendor is not going back and billing any of those previous people because they can't. But, say Medicare was behind or anything like that, anything that is received, we're allowed to keep. But the new vendor started at whatever date and time they did, and they've been billing at a significantly higher collection rate.
At the current stuff, but not the past.
Correct,
So that's sort of gone.
correct.
Thank you.
Next up is flight operations. The big decrease in their operating was tied to fuel. Again, more just in line with their actual expenditures. Fire EMS equipment, this is their annual amount to replace the smaller equipment, so axes, hoses, things of that nature. 911 dispatch. So this is our second year having the dispatch employees under the BOCC. There are big increases in personnel. When we were bringing the employees over, there was a difference of, not opinion, but a different thought on how we were going to fund their overtime in the initial discussions. And what subsequently happened was different. So we're basically just making up the difference from 26 to 27.
So there's no actual FTE here, right? Additional, it's more overtime?
Correct, yes. So at one point, we were discussing not keeping their normal hours, so they work a short week and a long week, and they were going to get more overtime that way. When we were having the initial discussion, that was going to go away, so the thought was that overtime would decrease. Later on, as the negotiation continues, the schedule stayed the same, which is great because that's what they wanted, but budget needs to catch up with the decision, essentially.
So are you done with fire rescue now? I
Yes.
think-
I
Okay.
wanted to go back.
So I noticed that, and I have my own answer, just want to ask it. I believe it's because of the union that the employees went up 10%. Their salaries went up 10% in all of these departments.
In the fire, their union contract is 2.5% step and up to 3.5 COLA. I have to confirm that, but they only get the COLA that we get. The issue being for that they're special risk, so their retirement is significantly higher. So when you're thinking about our dollars, they don't go
So that overtime discrepancy and the overtime
on dispatch.
scheduling on dispatch or fire and EMS, trust me, have plenty of overtime.
They do.
So that has been the theory, that has been the way that they have been providing EMS, fire forever, is you live off overtime. Trust me. 24 hours, 7-day-a-week coverage, you've got two ways of looking at it. You either pay it in personnel cost and keep your number of FTEs down, but you pay it in overtime. Somebody's got to cover those shifts, right?
Correct.
So it's been like that forever. As long as we understand that, there's no way to handle it. It's, you got to work the shifts, right?
Correct. And in this past
They
year,
also make more on overtime than they do working their shift.
time and a half, yes.
So there's no answer. Trust me, I fought it for 9 years in Flagler Beach because that was the only way they could cover shifts was with overtime. And it's just a product of the beast.
It's always been that way.
And I don't even know if there's any studies out there for better ways to deliver that service, but it is killing our budget. So just for everybody to know, that's what you're paying for, is staff and overtime.
So last year's budget, when they came over to us, right? The OT was budgeted into it, right, already?
Some part of it. So if it was 8 hours, we budgeted 4 hours. So we're just
Because
making
I think
up the difference.
administration ended up, writing a check? I saw that from the email, right? 99,000?
Transferred into the division to help cover the current year expenditures, yes.
Okay. So did we not anticipate that? I guess that was just, that OT wasn't anticipated?
Because we
that's why
thought we
they
were
had to
cutting
write
it in
$100,000
half,
check.
so, yeah.
And were you led to believe you could cut it in half, or was that just an administrative decision that you might be able to cut it in half?
I think that was just administration's thoughts at the time. So I think if I'm remembering correctly, we were in a public hearing or a workshop, and we decided that we were going to take him on for the tentative budget. So we're having meetings in late June. So obviously all the details weren't worked out until, September.
But we also said if we want to give it back, we can.
Correct.
Okay. Again, I don't have the answer. I'm not a manager in 911. I don't have the expertise in 911, but it's part of the beast, and we took it. Okay.
Can I go back?
Was it presented wrong? I mean, I guess I just don't understand why it was a net zero when we took on 911. It was a net zero. Don't worry, everything we have in our budget is going to be given back to you, so you can fund them in your budget. Was that not what was said?
That was, there were supposed to be funds to cover it, and
They give
then
us the sheriff was
administration
gonna give
ended
us
up
the
writing a
funds.
check out of pooled expenditures for 100,000.
So now the
for
numbers are
OT.
right. Now the numbers are right, and we're going to live within this budget the best we can. But this is not one of those areas where we can just say, we can't do it, because if you do that, you don't provide the level of service.
You can't quit it.
And we have scrutinized
Yep.
this particular, and we've talked about it. We also have a pending contract that we're working through still. And so they are, if you remember, they are now one of the bargaining units. And so that we'll be bringing that forward to the board, we're hoping very soon. And so that we've had a great relationship so far, and do expect the same with the negotiations we have on the contract. But everything we have now is in line with how their operation should be. We've looked at it in as many different ways as we can, and this is admittedly how this should operate. It's going to have some built-in overtime just by design, and there's no other way for us to really do it. I know the concept was, well, why is there overtime there? Just hire more people. You can work that out. It's just by nature of their shift work. This is how the math works.
So just to clarify, on the union contract, am I saying that right?
Yes.
It's a contract.
Yes,
It's a-
ma'am. Proposed
okay.
contract.
So 911 is covered under the contract.
It is.
Emergency management is not. Does emergency management have a contract, union contract?
So
Fire rescue does.
yeah, our current CBA is fire and EMS.
Fire,
We're
okay.
working on a 911 dispatch.
Okay. So fire rescue admin, that is not usually covered in a union contract. Is it
Correct.
covered?
No.
No.
Right. And then emergency flight operations, they're not union, correct?
Correct.
Emergency management is not union, but 911 wants to go union.
Yes,
Was that decided before we took them?
it was.
Thank you.
Can I go back to the last one?
Which one?
I wanted to find out from the chief if, no, it was the, keep going. I think it was in the fire, there was a big difference in fire. I just want to know, chief, if you, I remember we talked about new defibrillators were being purchased. Were those in this budget or in the next budget?
AEDs.
AEDs.
So there's an agenda item to ask for money from reserves to purchase new AEDs.
So they have not been purchased?
It was last night. Last night.
Yeah, we did it last night.
Purchased them last night.
Okay, I'm
Those
sorry.
came from reserve.
It
They weren't
stayed in my
budgeted.
head.
Correct.
But they were what, 20-plus years old or pretty old?
And now that we took over that operation, it's going to be efficient, it's going to be
Absolutely.
cost savings and time savings, and we're going to have everything documented so we don't have to buy 22 at a time, hopefully. Yes, Chief? Thank you.
Just confirming it. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I want to
He's
make
got a
sure.
list.
Because we did discuss it a long time ago, and I saw one, and I sort of freaked out with a fireman standing next to me.
Go
so,
ahead. Go ahead.
Glad to hear it. Thank you. Thanks, chief. Appreciate it.
All right, next
The
up
ag
is
extension.
ag extension. Their big decrease in operating was office equipment, a one-time purchase for some new office furniture.
This is contractual with UF.
For the personnel, there are various degrees of 80-20, 50-50 in the operating budget. You also have the C grant position funded from there. All right, next up, general services. So in general services admin, we have a shifting of one FT from general services admin to facilities. Their senior chief of trades just makes more sense for that position to be in there. And then their operating decrease is tied to office supplies, just kind of looking at what we had spent year to date in the previous fiscal years. Next up
Where are
is-
they going?
sorry.
Where are those people going? I'm sorry, I
The
found it.
one person's going to facilities.
Well, they have negative 38 people.
Oh, the
Oh,
public
cumulative.
transportation.
I'm sorry.
Yes, yes.
You're just doing admin. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
Fleet management. So we have an increase in personnel related to, we had gotten rid of 2 employees last year. One of the unintended consequences of that is having to have additional overtime to cover the hours that they need to be operational. So we have a slight increase there. And then their big decrease in operating is related to pooled vehicles that have been gone.
So, yeah, so that's interesting. So, and this is probably an area you need, rather than overtime, to look at staffing back, because when Ms. Petito said that she was laying off 2 over there, she said it was because our fleet was newer, didn't need as much maintenance. But now we're looking at retiring out our lease and going to a purchase.
Correct.
Which will add back to more work over in this department. And when I talked to them over in this department, they were shocked that they had to lay off because they had enough work. Now we're seeing the overtime of it. So if we're paying out overtime, would it make more sense?
We're not at that level yet,
No, but if
definitely from a
we're
workload
getting ready
standpoint.
to purchase cars instead of our leases out.
Correct.
And keep them longer.
Correct.
So,
Definitely something to keep in the
well, I just
future
want to make sure
thoughts.
we're not burning out two people over there, that necessarily don't, want to work overtime. I had a feeling this department was going to happen when that happened. Okay.
All right, so public transportation. So this is one of those things that we talked about on the 6-1 workshop, where we're taking it out of the general fund and setting up its own fund.
New fund.
So the general fund will continue to contribute local match money for the grant. So we received 5307 grant, which is federal funding. And then we have the existing grants, 5310, 5311, the rural. I think there's one other I can't think of right now, but the state grants can match the federal grants, but we have to match the local grant, or the state grants with local funding. So you'll see a decrease, to Commissioner Carney's point, minus 28 FTEs, but they're just ending up in another fund. I think it's 1144 is the new fund number. Next up is facilities management. This is, again, where the FTE from administration came from. Their big increase is the estimated contract increase for the security guards at the Justice Center. So we rely on a state contract for that. I think it usually comes out in the summertime, so we'll find out more specific rates hopefully in the next month or so. GSB, so it's this facility. The big decrease is tied to, again, over estimate on property insurance for this building. And we're also replacing another air handler unit. Naturally, as this building continues to get older, we're going to have to do repairs to the HVAC system. So we're trying to do one a year when we can afford to.
Get a little warmer.
Chillers.
My nose is frozen now. It's interesting.
So it's working
We
fine?
don't have
is
to
what you're
fix
saying?
this AC.
His nose is running? Yeah, we all got tissues, okay.
Next up is recreation facilities, also known as parks. Big decrease comes from building and equipment repairs. Again, just kind of realigning with the actuals that we're seeing in the previous fiscal years and comparing it to the year-to-date as well. Vessel registration. So this is restricted money that can only be used for, let's just kind of say boating activities is the general way to think of it. So boat ramps, docks. If the money doesn't get used, it builds up, and then we use it for local match on the dredging project or things of that nature. Next up, Carver Center. Big operating increases for janitorial. So when we did the expansion, we expanded the square foot, so naturally there was going to be an increased cost. And in previous years, the Parks Department has just eaten that in the other budget rather than in.
Is this Carver one of those that has, I can't recall, and I apologize, where we would like to see if the school board is interested in acquiring Carver? I can't recall. We've had these discussions. This is on that list of,
Maybe.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think the last time it was on a list, we were talking about not funding the 97,500. I don't know that we've ever talked about giving them the facility.
Right. The 97.5 is what we give them to run it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And then the operating is basically cleaning it. And we have PAL in there now.
Correct.
And PAL, I haven't seen these numbers decrease with PAL there. So what is, I think that's, what happened was they dismantled the board. So I don't even know who from our county goes to it any longer because they no longer had a commissioner sitting on it. So I don't know where they are in the discussions of it, but this is probably something you have to have a discussion maybe with what we can, these just numbers keep going up for this facility. And we've done a lot of actual capital improvement over there too.
Yes.
We're talking about helping them build the parking lot, but at some point, I don't know if this becomes one of those items we put in Health and Human Services where we give them
On
a
the
flat,
list.
yeah.
It was on the
And,
list, yeah.
And I hate to say it, but if we're looking at true tax reform and we're heading there, this is one of those items that we're going to have a discussion with the school board. I'm not,
The
Or how about the
historic
city of Benel?
courthouse, too.
City of
but,
Benel
well,
can't take it?
no, and if the tax reform goes through, the city of Benel would not even, they're not in a position now, I don't think, to take it, so that's not something but the school board operates out of it daily. They have a whole office. We built, the general services actually built an entire wing onto it that the county paid for, resurfaced the ball courts,
The gym floor as
getting
well.
ready to do the parking lot. I forget what the bathroom we did, but it's a constant improvement on improvement. And it is one of those things that it's 100% used by the school board and PAL. And there was an agreement to let PAL in there, and PAL is primarily operating out of it now. So I feel like this is one of those areas where we need the discussion,
Maybe that's where the
staff
boats
needs to
go.
kind of go back and say, how much county involvement.
People.
Well, this one and the school resource officers, both, we need to talk to them
that's-
about, because that's their responsibility to pay for those things, and they're not doing it.
Yeah.
So,
This very specifically, I feel like maybe it's a takeaway, if there's a consensus here,
Right.
for Adam to go back and talk with the school board about, are they able to take it over the facility? Are they, if we were able to, get rid of our operating costs and only give a grant aid of X amount of, divesting from this?
I think if the board was also interested in a discussion on the courthouse, on the old courthouse, I'd also like to convey that as well and have a discussion with the school district staff about that.
Right, I was just going to say,
That
that whole area
needs
was.
a
they're
lot of
using
work.
it now.
Well, they're leasing it from us, and it was a small lease, but they did a lot of work over there. But that would need some kind of clawback should they no longer utilize it, because for historical purposes, in my opinion. But, yeah, but their lease is covering we're not really, I can't remember what we're divested into that lease, but for the purpose of the Carver Center, probably needs us to revisit this conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
Is everybody in consensus with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, Bull Creek Fish Camp. Previously, this was broken out. There's no requirement to do so, so we just want to put it back into the Parks and Recreation Facilities budget, just to have one less division. There was half an FTE being paid out of here, but they were really performing most of their work at Princess Place. So the next budget you'll see is Princess Place, that we're also removing from the general fund and having their own fund set up. Like I just said, so we're moving Princess Place Preserve as well as the eco cottages into their own fund. The funding is geographically restricted that's earned on that site. The general fund will still have to contribute a decent amount of funding to continue the normal operations. And the FTEs are also moving to that fund as well. Again, same thing with the eco cottages, just presented here as a separate division. All right, next up is pooled expenditures. So this is kind of the catch-all for anybody that doesn't have a specific department. Things would fall in here. So big decrease on debt service. We're no longer budgeting funding for the tax anticipation note. We've gotten our reserve balance up to a healthy rate that we don't feel like we need to continue to budget for that. The big operating decrease here is tied to the removal of the strategic plan funding. That was $600,000. We have eliminated that. Tax increment value, TIF. This is also known as CRAs. This number will change once we get the final taxable values on July 1st. Just an estimate, but this is payments to the city of Palm Coast, CRA, Benel, Marine Land, and Flagler Beach.
Okay, we're going to talk about CRAs I think, under your 10%.
Correct.
I thought CRA was a state statute mandated entity.
So you have to create a CRA through Florida statute and things.
Correct.
But there are ways to dissolve them. We're going to need joint participation with the municipalities, but they're going to be in the same boat that we're going to be in if the homestead exemption occurs. They're going to lose values. They have to contribute money into the CRA also. So it could end up being beneficial for all the parties. Now, naturally, the CRA is within those municipalities, so they're still getting the benefit of it. But again, they won't have as much money to contribute either.
So to my understanding, Flagler Beach has a CRA, and the city of Palm Coast has a CRA, which encompasses the high school, FPC. But I don't think the school board is affected by that CRA. It's just the city of Palm Coast. Are there any other CRAs in our community? Benell
Benell
Marine
and
land.
Marineland.
and Marine Land?
Isn't the town center also a CRA?
I'm on that board.
The town center is Palm
They won't
Coast.
have that.
We just use it
If we
interchangeably.
Oh, you just
we
using it
dissolve marine land.
It's not a CRA anymore?
So
away.
when we say Palm Coast, we are talking town center. Just
Oh, I heard, I just heard
sorry.
the school.
It's
It
near
is
the school. It
entire
runs
town
up
center.
Bulldog Lane, that the CRA actually encompasses that.
It's town center.
The whole town
Where
center.
Wawa is now, that wasn't obviously there. That whole area up to up to the town center is a CRA.
Through it.
So buildy, tax, more. So, okay.
Next up, Value Adjustment Board, just realigning with actual expenditures. Interfund transfers, this is going to be our biggest decrease. So we had two large interfund transfers this year. $1.5 million for the health insurance fund. So we know historically the health insurance fund had money taken out of it. We're finally putting the funds back into it. So when we do our self-insurance audit every year, we don't have to say the money that would keep this fund afloat is in the general fund. We're putting it where it belongs. The other big one was funding for County Road 304, $4 million. That was the original thought on a very large $40-50 million project. Now we're scaling it down into sections. So as those sections come up, we can decide if we need to contribute, what amount of local
This
funding.
is for the east side. I know you wouldn't know. Okay. Yeah, we're paving the west side of 304 this year. This is for the east side, which is a more costlier budget. the
So
bridges.
we only funded this year.
Yeah.
So next year, we have nothing for it.
All right, I'll talk to Richard.
Next up, medical examiner. In this moment, just an estimated increase. We contractually will have numbers by the end of the month, so I'll update it for the tentative budget. No indications. We reached out, I think it was last week, and they basically said, we'll let you know by the deadline, so.
Okay.
FCSO internal charges, the big increase in their operating budget is tied to the sheriff's office changed the amount of their deductible on vehicles. So we have to pay for that increase. Next up, law enforcement education funds. Big decrease here, but it's not really what it is. It's just on what we receive from court costs. There's a $2 surcharge. So whatever comes in goes back out. It's the county's responsibility to hold that funding. The sheriff spends it and makes a request to be reimbursed with this funding. Next up, court services and public defender. So they have other funding sources from the state of Florida. They also have funding sources for their technology in Fund 1194. These are just some general fund expenditures that we provide them, funding for things like ADA accommodations. Decreasing based on actual use. And we'll see the same thing in pretrial supervision. So we had a decrease in operating, again, just based on looking at their actual spend. And the last one, Guardian ad litem, again, just looking at small tweaks to their budget, overall decrease. All right, that's all I have for the budget. Now we'll talk about the other two topics. So, very brief explanation of the proposed homestead exemption. So we know that if it was to be passed, you see $150,000 the first year, $250,000 exemption the next year. So then we plotted out, these are all based on FY26 budgets, so there will be little tweaks here, but again, just for big picture discussions, we plotted out the constitutionals. Naturally, there's going to be some effect that the tax collectors commission would go down because we wouldn't be collecting as much in taxes, so that would shift a little bit. And then showing just our other public safety components as, say, more original versions of this bill was to make sure that public safety stayed intact. And then, showing here's what's left to basically do everything else. And then adding in our other non-ad valorem revenues to just try to, make a more true picture.
So Representative Greco was at a meeting, and he presented some numbers specifically to Flagler County. Do you remember, Michelle? Are these even close to what he said? No. So the question on the table is, how did they, again, we're getting stuff from the state that they don't support with evidence, and we try to, and they make public statements. I mean, there were 70 people in the room. His numbers were almost, who was there? Nobody was there. You guys were all at, were you there? Okay.
I was
Did you
there, and
understand
it
the
came
number?
across to me, he didn't want to talk about it.
No, he didn't. But
did not
other
wanna
than
talk
that,
about
he believes that, or they believe, because he voted for it, they believe that the people that pay the taxes ad valorem have the right to decide how their money is being spent. That is the whole basis for tax reform. So the people that are paying the taxes elect us to spend the taxes, so the whole shoe doesn't fit at all. But other than that, his number, he could not, his answer for why Michelle, I'm pointing to the tax appraiser, the property appraiser, disputed the number or numbers, because he did also go from 150 exemption to 250 exemption. They didn't come close. So the question on the table was, how could that, where did you get your numbers? And they were provided by staff, right? They were provided by staff, and he could not get us an answer right then, but he would prepare an answer. So I really would like to see what the state thinks the impact on Flagler County is going to be. Because if our our property appraiser is, I'm assuming is where you got these numbers from?
I believe these were the original draft numbers.
Okay. So I don't know if Mr. Gardner talks to the state or we talk to the state, but this could also be leading to why the CFO isn't matching numbers. I don't know. But in my opinion, a lot of what's going to happen with tax reform is going to come down to appraisal. What's the appraised value? And where are they? Where is the state coming up with these numbers? Because somebody's feeding the state. Did they call Michelle or Mr. Gardner to get these numbers? Sort of, okay.
So the numbers are reported every year when Jay provides the taxable values.
Okay.
I don't know how they're cutting it up after that, but whatever he reports is likely where they're pulling their data from.
Right.
Commissioner Carney, could you give us an idea of what the variation of what you're saying?
You know, I can't remember. It's
Can
not
you
a
remember,
recorded
Greg?
meeting, so I can't
No, I
remember.
don't remember either.
It was substantial. I mean, it was enough
significantly
for
lower
Michelle
or
to say,
significantly
what
higher?"
are you talking about? I mean, there was some
Was it
pushback.
significantly lower than what we're seeing here?
She's
Or
saying half.
significantly?
It was about half.
About half. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I want to know, the proportions. Thank you.
So I have a meeting, which I've asked Adam to join me with Tom Leak this week to ask questions that are
Okay, perfect. All
on
right.
these.
So let's see if we,
I think to keep in mind is they are very proud of this, and they think it's not going to hurt us. They actually believe that. And I think in some counties, it's not going to hurt them. It's different for us.
yeah,
We're the #1 county, most reliable on ad valorem
any-
taxes to survive. We're #1 in the whole 67
that's not
county.
good.
area.
Anything?
I think we're not any longer. It's now Port St. Lucie.
We might be second or
I
third
went through
now,
the
but
list.
it's
Got
just-
hospitals,
We're in the
that's
top
all.
5. okay?
2/3 of our
so if you could
housing
take,
falls into
if
this
you could
bucket.
take this screen to Senator Leak maybe, and see if we can get some kind of
Reasonable value.
reasonable.
Yeah, I was going to be talking to him about the impact to bond ratings. I had some other
Yeah.
questions to him.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, Jay.
sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Gardner.
Yes, sir.
The $28 million is probably in the ballpark. The problem is you probably didn't account for the 5% cap. So it's more like $35 million. That's what FAC came up with the first year,
35?
and $62 million the second year. That's including the 10% cap. Normally, I got to say who I am. I'm Jay Gardner, the
Thank you,
property
Jay.
appraiser.
Please
I don't know if- This is kind of different. I don't come
Who are
to
you?
workshops.
So aren't they saying the 10% will go down to 5% as well?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The 10% cap change,
Right.
you used the word clawback. Well, I use the cap as how I claw back the difference, which gives y'all more money, and I pull it away from them each year if they have a protected value, businesses and non-homestead. So now I can only pull back the 5%. And also, if the values go up, I can only raise them 5% for you. The schools are immune to that. So, but I mean, the 28 million's probably not far off. It's a little bit lower than what the FAC came up with. And the stuff that the state is using would be with my last year's tax roll. So they don't have that, and I don't know what they assume with millage rates.
True.
$47.8 million is the amount the first year countywide, okay? The second year, 85.7 million or 6 million or something is the second year. And this is going to change each year, and by the fifth year, Flagler County in its whole, using some sort of blended millage rate, counting the cities and everything, will be up to $113 million. That'll be the fifth year. That's what will disappear in funding countywide. So if you take your 28, and probably when we estimated it in our office, we came up with about 30 million. So that's the same number as what you're doing. It's pretty close. But then you add in for the 5% cap, another $5 million.
Right.
And in the second year, it worked that way. It doubled that the second year. The 5% cap was now, $10 million more, but it was actually the $60 million and 62, I think. But, you're gonna see that just disappear. And I mean, we haven't talked about the fact that you guys are limited as what you spend your tax dollars on by this bill. You can't, we were talking about the library. You can't really fund the library. You're going to have to fund it with other revenue, which you have other revenue, but you're going to be forced to only spend on health and safety
That's
and
it.
admin and some other things. They
That's it.
made a list of them. So, but, I'm fairly comfortable with your numbers. He might be in a little bit, maybe a smidge low, and maybe we hope he's right, but you will lose that money for sure. And whatever they said from the state, that doesn't mirror what the revenue estimating conference, those numbers I was just giving you that are countywide are revenue estimating conference. And like them or not, those guys are good at what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been mad at them because they'll say what the county's doing or going to do, and then I go, well, dang, you know, they was right. So, but
Right.
I don't know if that
What
helps.
is
And so
this
the language on this referendum, on this item is in court right now, but they're going to try to settle it in the next week or two, but it's not to remove it, so it's going on a ballot. It's just they want the state attorney general to clear up the language, to clean it up. So it's definitely going on the ballot, because I know everybody was wondering, is it even going to make it on?
The whole referendum was nothing but a marketing
Correct.
thing, and it
That's
was
correct.
pretty much the title of it
The
said,
title
you
of
know,
it is it Save Our
get rid of you
Homes.
guys wasting and,
right.
you know, frauding all the money.
Right.
They might as
So
well
they're
have
gonna
said
strip
that
all
in it.
that
It was
language
so-
out, most
so
likely.
brutally one-sided, and it's not allowed to be.
Right,
So it will be,
stripped out.
I am certain, overturned. And I also believe that the 5-year thing is illegal, and it will be overturned, because someone will challenge
I
that.
didn't
You-
see that challenge yet. I was checking.
But it will
Yeah.
come. It's not, once it starts moving forward, it will, because you can't put a gate up in the top of Florida and say, you know, we don't like Yankees, we're not going to let them come in our state. And that's what this is doing. And, you know, I think the governor flat out said New Jersey when he was politicking it. We don't get to do that. This is the United States. So that will be challenged. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I'm not saying it's going away, but it may be that all the people that were waiting 5 years to get the 250 will just get the 250, 150, then 250. There may be no waiting. So
Well, they also challenged that little calculator that was on the internet. You put in your address and see how much tax you're going to
didn't
pay.
take the
estimator.
schools out.
It didn't do anything about
or
schools, mosquito
non-ad valorem.
control. It didn't do anything. It was
Mosquito
just,
control can do what they want to do. I mean, they're
right,
they're just like you.
entity.
They're a
Right.
taxing authority.
right.
But,
Right.
I mean, but it definitely was overshooting it, making it seem better than it was. I think it probably said $40-something hundred on me, and when I calculated it without taking the schools out, it's 3,800 something. Then I got to take the schools out, you know, which is, depending on where you live, you know, upper 20s to almost 40% of your bill is the school millage, and it is held harmless. So I don't
But
know.
wasn't the problem with the legislature, wasn't it that it was supposed to protect fire and safety and sheriffs, and it didn't, and now they're going back in to change the language to public safety?
No, they didn't.
took
Even
it
when they
out.
say public safety, they're not protecting anything. When it started, you were going to have to keep the sheriff and the
Correct.
fire department at a budget level of, say, 27, 28.
Okay.
There was 2 choices there, and I don't remember it. Well, they stripped that. So you can only spend the money on certain things, and health and safety, and, you know, our first responders is one of the first things listed, but you can spend the money on that. Doesn't say you have to.
Right.
Oh,
So there is no protection. There was also a little a fund they were establishing, so when Bunnell starts to belly up, they can
Right.
go throw some money at them. Well, they
that
took
didn't
that
make it,
out.
right.
Yeah, and they did go back and add the protection for the schools. That wasn't in the first bill.
Mm-hmm.
But when that estimator came out, the school thing wasn't part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess they weren't in any hurry to change it, so, you know, it sounded better.
Well,
so
we
they
did
left
ask
it.
at the meeting, when is it going to be changed? And he basically said, my office doesn't talk to their office. That's got to do with the governor. That's a governor's website. It's not my website, so. And then, but the governor, I believe, did get 5.5 million to market this. He asked for 5.5 million taxpayer dollars to market to the taxpayers, right? He got
Well,
it.
it's really so that they can pay for example, we have to send mail out and stuff like that. That's what it's to pay for, not to help anybody,
No.
but to make sure that the cost, for example, is going to cost me money, and I don't have a choice but to put it in my trim notices.
Right.
And I have to pay for that. Well, there's money, that's what that $5 million is for. The
they're assisting you.
5.5.
They're assisting you with what you have to put out.
That,
You're saying they're assisting you for what you have to pay
well,
out.
that's what in theory, I don't know, wait till I try to send them a bill, I don't know what'll happen, you know? But they are going to make me do stuff, and it actually says in the bill that I can't touch it. Because they know property appraisers would go, hold on a minute, you know, wait a minute, what's that say? Well, we're not allowed to do anything to it, we have to slip it in the envelope. so to speak.
Okay.
So it is very specific. But anyway, I don't know if
Yeah,
that helps.
that's why, I mean, honestly, no homestead exemption has never not passed.
Right.
So I go with the mindset that fortunate or unfortunate for if you're sitting here in the seat of making decisions, this is probably going to pass.
Well, one thing just to be aware, Save Our Homes,
Right.
the 3% cap,
I know.
that passed by 53% of the voters,
Wouldn't have passed this time.
not 60.
Now it needs 60.
Now it's 60.
That's why we did
So-
60.
And I talk to a lot of people that go,
Different,
well,
Jay.
where's it going to come from? I mean, they do ask that question, and then the other half of them tell me what crooks y'all are, and, you're squandering money, and use words like, not just waste. I don't mind
That's
saying waste,
pre-COVID.
but fraud
This
and
is
abuse, which I get offended when they
post-COVID.
say that.
Plus a million plus Republicans in the state. We'll see. It'll be interesting. But our job's to prepare, and see what we need to do now to get ready for potential, so.
We'll get more information on it in the future, and we'll certainly share it with you, and, well, maybe we'll come up with a tax estimator that'll do it, but
Right.
kind of hate to waste the time and money if it doesn't pass.
Or what kind of marketing budget are we going to have to try to keep it, referendums?
No, it's not our job to do that.
We can't
not our
spend
job to do
public
that, and
money
I wouldn't.
anyway on a referendum initiative.
anything.
They're real clear about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't,
they made sure that the
We
property
can't.
appraisers know that. too.
We can do it
We-
at our town halls and our,
yes, we can in our town halls, but we can't do a mass mailing to say why.
Tax dollars.
Right,
So
right. So,
Comes up next week
All
at
right,
the
next.
meetings.
Thank you, sir.
There will be something.
This is the 10% exercise.
Yep. So we showed the dollar saved and also the millage rate. So these were large cuts that we can make, to avoid the death by 1,000 paper cuts, which is the activity that would likely happen when the homestead exemption, if it passes. That's where we'd have to get into more individual departments and looking at them. So eliminating the CRAs, we talked about it briefly. So, the municipalities are also going to be looking at how they're going to continue to exist. And to your point, there is a possibility that some of them might have to dissolve. Just, say marine land, they're very, very small. They might not have an option there. Creating a library district would require a referendum. We're putting it out there that it would take time. This isn't a thing we could do tomorrow, but it would alleviate a millage rate for the BOCC. It would allow the library to have more control over their own destiny. They can, charge for more things. They could contract with the BOCC to perform things like budget, HR functions, so that they didn't have to have that on their own. Eliminating the beach millage from the general fund, 0.2 of a mil. We would still be in the neighborhood of $4.5–5 million of funding for the beach every year through the half-cent sales tax and the current 1 penny of TDT. And then we have gone forward with eliminating the strategic plan funding for $600,000. And then what we showed, we didn't ask the constitutionals for anything, but just for information purposes, $6.4 million would be their 10% cut. And then in addition to the conversation we were having earlier about the outside agencies, a 10% cut would be $144,000 for almost
Which we got
1
that
mil.
list now.
yeah, we've got the list now.
Okay.
oh, is that what that was? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're reducing it this year by $16,000. That's our, in this
That's
budget.
it?
That's it. That's all we're reducing.
Wait,
that is the adopted budget that I provided to you. So that's our current year
that's the
budget.
current. He hasn't added in.
Oh,
Yeah, you're actually, if you go, well, I won't go back to the slide, but.
So what happens with SMA? I mean, is that always going to be a funded
I was going to ask.
assistance?
We give them our
We
current
gave them-
library.
We get a building, we've done,
We got them 10
why are
million
we
for a
funding
building.
SMA Behavioral Health? It's a for-profit organization. Does anybody know? maybe not. Joe, he wasn't here when all this got started.
Profit, I believe. I think they're nonprofit.
I think they're,
Well, they are, but come on.
Right, I understood.
They are technically a nonprofit, I believe, but they've been funded since I've been in this role and position. They are our main behavioral health and substance use treatment provider in the county, the largest and most predominant. They also help us to deal with our Baker Acts and treatment programs, inpatient, outpatient. So they do provide an array of services and do well in that. But again, the amount and determination, I think originally there was a board that reviewed these funding amounts and awarded those. Then the funding available was reduced. This is again secondhand, but I believe the funding amount was reduced, and then that board disbanded, and then it fell to Health and Human Services to administer those grants.
We went to the, I went to the, ribbon,
No.
not the ribbon, the.
it's a tour of where they're
of
at.
the
with their-
building.
Their 10 million.
And one of the things that does benefit our residents, and I will just say this, is that the Baker acting, when it's done here, which is very, I seem to see it all the time on reports, on the reports, people are taken to South Daytona. And a lot of people Baker acted are just in a sad situation for the time and not necessarily have to be held for long periods of time, so their opportunities of getting an Uber or a ride back because their vehicles are not available to them and things like that, it will affect our citizens tremendously. That's the only thing I can say. And they do have residential, I think it was 80 units of residential for the men.
Yes, they're,
for-
yes.
for help.
Residential, yep. Inpatient.
And they're going to have, the setup, it was 23,000 square feet building that they're building right now.
But I had a feeling that they were looking at requesting more funds based on that tour.
Well, there was
So
a
I think
discussion
maybe
about
we
it.
can just get a idea of what our commitment is. Is this
Sit down with
every
them.
year? I know we give them the building. It sounds like they were going to vacate the building. Now they're not going to vacate the building. The little one. They were supposed to vacate and move into the.
One by the.
Yeah,
by
but
the-
now they're keeping the building as well. Just, I think maybe a refresher for everybody on our relationship with SMA for cost purposes. Because let's be honest, if the homestead pass, I know you have it in the 10% cut, but I mean, these are the things that are going to be difficult for everyone to fund. We have to be honest with everybody right now so that they totally understand where we're coming from. So just curious, maybe it would be helpful for the SMA to know what they're, exactly what they're
Where we're
looking
headed.
for us in terms of funding.
Sure, we'll circle up with
Yeah.
administration.
But we know, most of us know all the other groups here. Family Life, you guys sit on the board, Cold Weather Shelter, Grace, yeah, okay. And the Boys and Girls Club.
We'll follow up, certainly.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
One point of clarification on the 10% cut on outside agencies. That's more than just Joe's budget. That would be funding that we provide the school board. So it's all of the grants and aids that we put
Yeah.
onto the.
Could you go back to that 10%?
Last page.
I have asked for an update on the beach management plan, not the funding plan, the management plan. Asked for it 3 times before, and I've asked for it again. I think it's time that we look at the beach management plan. If I single-handedly as one commissioner can't get it done because I'm 1 out of 5, then I'm asking for support from 2 other commissioners to get an updated beach management plan. I waited for our new beach person, and that was in November. I think it's time. I want to see it. There's been some changes, there's been some studies, there's been some feedback with the consultants. I just would like to see where we are with the beach management plan. It changes. A beach management plan cannot stay the same every single year. Because it was passed in 2023, doesn't mean that it's going to apply in 2026 or 7. And then the funding. At this point, I mean, unless we were drastically desperate, I would not eliminate any millage or any funding for the beach until we are locked in on the beach management plan. I think that plan is overfunded. I think that plan, we've sat here at nauseam discussing all of this. We've got to have a solid number, and the number 12 million is too high. We know that. We need another stab at this. And again, I know this was an exercise to reduce the general fund. What my thoughts were on an exercise to reduce 10% is for every department head to come in with their desired budget for this year and then give us a budget of 10% reduction. This doesn't even, this touches one department, the library. So every department is going to have to look within. I am so glad that you almost did a zero-based budget in every one of these. If what you said really, I know it's no reason for you to lie, if it took place, you looked at every expenditure, you took out or you readjusted for insurance that you know was, I use the word fluff, and I'm sorry, I know budgeting folks are offended by that word, but you did exactly what we need. What I was expecting was a 10% from each department. So when the hammer falls, everybody's prepared for 10%. And that's just a part of it, right? So I don't know, dissolving a CRA attorney, is this as easy as it looks on a chart paper?
No.
According to the statute, and the statute was just recently actually amended, dissolution of a CRA, basically all CRAs are scheduled to sunset in 13 years, in 2039, except for those CRAs whose bond obligations extend beyond that date. You still have to have it in order to, until those bonds expire.
Right.
There is no mechanism in Chapter 163 for terminating a CRA prior to the sunset date of 2039.
Right. And then to create the library district, you actually have to put that out to referendum,
Right.
which you're looking at 20.
So this is not what I expected for a 10%, and that's okay. I'm just speaking. I need every department to change their budget to a 10% reduction. That's what I consider a 10% reduction. This is not what I expected. But again, it's okay. We got a starting point. I want to say thank you for the employee reduction of 9 FTEs. I also would like to see this county go towards a moratorium on hiring. I think that some FTEs can be replaced as needed with a justification. I believe we will gain more loss in FTE, and Charlie is probably better at this than me, gain more FTE savings through attrition than through changing departments and filtering down to 9 people. We need 25 people or 30 people eliminated if all of this goes through. And this should not be a shock. So if every department head had to look at their FTEs or their expenses and cut 9%, where would that be? And if we're asking our constitutionals to cut 10%, then we need to go through the same exercise, in my opinion. So, right now, I'm mediocre on this, but we have more time. It's only June. We have unfunded this beach for 25 years. To see cutting the beach millage on this is breaking my heart. But if that's the only way to get there, if it comes down to just funding the Army Corps project with Flagler Beach or working with Flagler Beach to keep something alive in our beach program, I would like to do that. But every department has got to cut. I don't know how else to say it.
I actually, if you'll go back, I want to bring up something here. Eliminate the strategic plan funding. That was a fund in the pooled resources. And I think you all received an email, because I'm the one who asked the question. You were here, so we were here, because this is where I'm going with this. Okay. There was a check written this year by administration in February of $75,000 and a settlement made on a impact fee case that you probably remember in 2024, we had a workshop on Mr. Langello. And we all said no, we didn't think we needed to settle. Al was adamant about it. And that was in 2024. We said, I actually went back and watched the workshop. We said, come back if you have the right paperwork. We don't believe you. We owe these fees to you. 2 years later, in February, Ms. Petito wrote a check from this account and did a settlement without, I don't believe our lead attorney was fully aware of it. For that reason, because I know specifically this board wanted to control that settlement and did not feel there was a settlement due, I think one of the other things that needs to be done is we need to limit administrator authority. Again, remember when it was at 25,000 and they said, oh, everything's going up and we need to give the administrator more power. That check was written, $100,000 check, $99,999 check was written for overtime out of there without talking to the board about the overtime problem. For these reasons, I think we need to dial it back. There was other checks too, but it was a $600,000 fund sitting off to the side in pooled expenditures, and all the checks out of there were for things like this. And I think what really upset me was the settlement, because that was supposed to come back to this board. We said no, and it's supposed to come back to this board. So, and for 2 years later, on the way out the door to write that check upset me, because I know that I don't believe that should have happened, you know?
We should go back to 50,000.
I think we should go to maybe, one is knowing what fund, like, or having an email to all of us, I'm writing a check, because it's not just even the amount, it's the what for, you know what I mean? And that was a settlement, that this board had talked about at nauseum.
We didn't want to pay it.
We didn't need to.
But when you look at the backup, because I asked for the backup, when you look at the backup, the only person that signed it was administration. The attorney didn't sign it. So I don't even know how it got through. So I'm okay. A budget is a budget. It's a worksheet. It's a way for administration to come to us and ask for what they need to run this organization for a year, right?
Right.
If they are, in Flagler, we did resolutions every time we needed, and we do resolutions. It's in our backup that we're doing resolutions where we're putting the money, blah, blah, blah. But having a checking authority, just like if we called back every P card in this organization to do an audit on P cards, you're going to find something. So this is just an opportunity for an administrator to write a check and say, oh, I forgot to do this or that. come to us. We'll give it to you, or if we need it, we'll give it to you. But I don't see where, this is just an old practice that keeps getting out of control that needs to get reined back in. You're writing a check, you're entering into an agreement that you're not authorized to do, and now we know about it. So do we go drastic to the left and take the writing authority away? Don't know. Don't know how the new person will deal with that, but
lot
we
of
give
times-
them everything they ask for.
There's normally 2 signatures on a check of a
No,
certain.
not
Not
anymore.
that, it's limiting the
here.
amount,
The amount.
and the velocity of it. Because there was 600,000 sitting in there that they wrote checks against. That's a lot. That's a road. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
that's a tangible amount. It was one thing to say, write a check for employee lunches, write a check for this. It's not make a settlement with something the board disagree with on your way out the door. So we need to not only dial back the administrator authority and maybe P-card authority on some of it, because look what's happening in Daytona Beach, which is not good. And our P cards are running like 56 to 60,000 a month on all sorts of things, because you can see it, the clerk sends it to it, and you can read the items. So I think maybe we need to have someone look at that legal or whatever and see what best practices are. But 100,000 is too much, and not knowing, because that fund was in pooled. I would never have known that. I would have thought she could pull out of the administrative department fund. That was just some sort of, I don't even want to use the word, what it is, but it was basically a fund that was supposed to be for strategic plan and items. It's a slush fund.
And a point of clarification, so the spending authority would be the procurement, and that's
Yeah,
the
right.
mirroring with that is budget transfer authority, which is also $100,000. So just, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So, because the current threshold is,
When I started here, it was 25. They tried to get unlimited at one point, and I fought that. And then we got to 50, and then it jumped to 100. It needs to go back to at least 50.
Well, Brian's bringing up a good point. There's 2 different things
Yes,
here. check
so maybe
writing
we need to
And
check
the budget
writing.
transfer, which is a different
So-
thing.
so-
That's a different animal.
budget transfer being anything over 100,000 or from reserves requires your approval. The under 100,000 between departments within the general fund can be done by the administrator. Within the same department, any amount of money by the finance director. So just
We need to rein
kind of
that in.
keeping that in mind.
So is there consensus there to change the authority
spend?
for
Yeah,
spend?
Spend, okay.
Yes. Is there consensus for 50,000, 25,000?
Well,
What was wrong with
I'd be
25?
comfortable going back to 50.
What was wrong with 25? Where were we with, I wasn't here, but what was the motivation to get it to 100? Does anybody remember?
More along the lines of things that didn't need to be bid out now were on the agenda. So let's make an argument that we were here for 5 hours last night because of things being on the agenda. So by moving that threshold, things didn't have to come before you, but obviously you're having,
And technically, because it was budgeted in this strategic plan pooled account, that meant it didn't have to come before us because it was in
Correct.
an
So,
account that was budgeted.
I could move $100,000 between departments. So say we wanted to pay the food pantries again. That came out of pooled. I could have spent, anybody could have spent up to $100,000, no transfer needed.
Okay. It's,
To departmental as well, no?
well, yeah. Well, actually, how about we do this? How about we bring this back? There is a point where we'll look at the policy again.
Correct.
So let's bring it back with that,
Yeah.
knowing that we want to signal to
wanna look
change.
at it again,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we always get the policy and then we go through the line items of it. So maybe we can have that back before budget ends.
Gotcha. So I think
Everything's
it
set.
would be the second meeting in August, I think is what it's tentatively scheduled for. And again, that would just be the
Just
budget
know it's coming
policy.
and that we've
Right.
had this discussion on why.
If you
Okay.
want to change the spend, that would be the procurement manual.
Yep.
So that would, and
Come before September.
So seems like you have consensus to make the change. We're still iffy on the number.
Well, I'll wait, I mean,
Wait for Andy.
I'd wait for Mr. Dance. I'm comfortable with 25,000 because I think it's, there's no velocity there either. That's the problem, is like, you can just do it over and over and over out of all the pooled expenditures. It's not pretty. That's why I say 25, but.
And then my last slide, just wanted to give a quick, so the next time we meet to talk about budget will be on July 13th. This is when Adam presents his tentative budget to you, and we ask you guys to vote on that not to exceed millage rate. So any questions about that?
No, sir.
Well,
you know what the
going
rollback
back
rate
to
is?
what Ms. Carney said, I think I'd like to see a 10% that drill, to see a 10% reduction in each department.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see that drill done. I don't like that 10% reduction that you gave us. I just don't. I don't think it's realistic. Some of those things, CRA being one of them, that we can't just strike them out and not pay them. To do a legitimate 10% reduction, it should be from our departments. It should be our overall spending 10% reduction. I think that's not a bad drill to go through.
I'll steal some of Mr. Eichinger's thunder here and say that if you are looking for that, then even what we had proposed, what we've talked about, the reduction in the FTEs, the proposed cuts. You saw the 10% of the constitutionals. I'm sure that hit some of them by a bit of surprise, but we were figuring if we had to go through the exercise, we go through it and share the pain. And then 10% also then to our other organizations that we support, the nonprofits. It's getting into 10%, our biggest expense is personnel. We're cutting programs. We're cutting people. We're making choices then about very much in line with the adult daycare. And so that I'd argue that there's necessary and then there's nice to haves that provide a quality of life to your residents, and so the quick answer is going to be, we're all going to look at the nice to haves, and when we get done with the nice to haves, which may be pretty quickly in some of the departments, then we're getting into how to do that's going to be it's going to be a bit of a meat grinder, and so if you're ready for that, and it will be the public side that nobody wants to see, because we'll be able to link positions as we discuss them to people that are working here now. And so that's where the rubber's going to meet the road, that you're going to be coming back and telling someone in a public meeting that we no longer need your services, we're going to eliminate your division or department or your function, and that's how this is going to play out.
Well,
and
Adam,
going
how do
through the
you feel about a
hypothetical.
moratorium on hiring? How do you, as an administrator, feel about a moratorium?
I've thought about it for a while, and I think the concept's good, but then we also have some positions that we have to fill, because we have some, the one or some of what I've been hand-wringing on is IFAS. We have an ILA effectively a contractual obligation with them to fund certain positions. If we choose to terminate the ILA, then we can get out of some of those obligations, but then there's bigger ramifications with that. Then we're then effectively cutting into UF's programs that they have here, that in our involvement with them on a broader level of what I'll talk about it, the ag extension agent, whether or not to hire that at this point. That is a vacancy that we have now. So if we go into a moratorium on that, we would not hire that position. We would not be able to offer that range of ag extension services within our county, because that position would not be here.
But this is the sad truth, Adam. The governor is going to spend $5 million to tell people why they can't spend we can't spend their tax dollars the way you want to. We all want to, trust me. We got to tell the public what they're not going to get as a result of you voting. We have to do it indirectly. We can't do it in their face because we can't put out an ad. But we need to look at, you're right, the quality of life is not going to sustain. It's not.
Not the same.
It's not. And we're building fire departments and we're building all this stuff. It's not going to happen in the next world if this happens.
Correct.
So the upward staffing, the additional overtime, whatever it's going to take, eliminating the fleet and outsourcing I don't know what the answer is. But unless we dig deep, we're not going to have an answer. And by the way, I want to close out by saying the website is fabulous, and I want to thank you and Mr. And I'm sure he got all your guys' help in finance. Mr. Boyer, you guys did a great job. I want to tell you, if we can drive as many people to that website as we can to fully understand what is happening, I think we're going to score on that. But as far as what the end result, and 3 people got up at the meeting we were at and said, nobody is not going to vote for this reform. Nobody.
Nobody.
So you think you got it at 60, you think you got 40% on your side or 48% on your side, whatever. Only time will tell. But you're going to either do it through a process or you're going to do it
Forced to do it. You're going to be forced.
November 5th, November whatever.
No choice.
There's nothing we can do. It's going to impact the next fiscal budget. Not as bad, but it is going to impact us. So.
The only thing we can start thinking about, if that passes, is are there other taxes we can levy on the population? And that's going to be, that's going to be hard to do.
And one very real option, and our peer governments are talking about this, is increasing the millage now while you can. Because that's one option available to us, is that if we're not at the 10 mil cap yet, then you have available in your plate of options, and how unsavory as it may be. And the other part is looking at alternative sources, revenue sources that are out there, using those to the greatest extent we can. Some of that is admittedly local option gas tax. Again, taxing, we're not talking, I think the property appraiser back there said it very wisely, it's a tax shift, I think is the quote. And so it's coming from a different source. We then also on our end are maybe not talking about elimination of services as much as we're talking about doing it differently. Consolidation, outsourcing. I think all those options are on the table at this point. Nothing is left unconsidered. I think we have to take everything to its possibility of the absurd in consideration of the options that are available to us, because these are going to be difficult times that lie ahead.
One county has already added 5% or 5 cents to the gas tax. One county's already done that, and that's what I'm sure they're preparing for.
We have monies that are sitting on the table right now.
Yeah, we asked last year, when can we raise it? And we were told it's not time yet. So when is it time? You can raise it at any time? I thought there was a.
I don't remember that.
So you have to notify DOR within a certain time
Yes,
period.
that
But
part.
yes, in theory, you could have a meeting today, and approve it. It just wouldn't kick in until the DOR timeline made.
What's the DOR timeline? Where are we? Same thing with the MSBU. Where's the timeline? Where are we in making these decisions?
July 13th, right there.
Millage rate, I'm going to ask for a rollback rate. I'm going to ask for what millage do we need to be at rollback. It's not realistic. I
we'll
get
provide
it.
it,
I would
always,
like
yeah.
to know the millage rate at rollback.
Roll back with your property, like, that means you're going up on your millage this year. So you're not asking for a rollback. I don't think you're meaning to say that. Your property's gone down in value, so rollback would mean your millage is going up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Property values went down across the board?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Did Pam and did we suggest that was going to happen last year?
Kind of, sort of did. Kind
Did
of,
we
sort of saw it coming.
Mr. Dance, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Mr. Dance.
How are you, sir?
We've been having
Anything
a lot of
before I
fun.
go to public comment? I don't know if
No, that's okay.
You can't say anything.
Yeah,
You can
we've
just sit there.
muted you. I don't think your microphone's working.
No,
Uh-oh.
said I wasn't here.
You're out, you're out, you're out.
All right, so what is the millage at the current income that we had for 2026? Is that the right question? Thank you.
Close enough. I know what you're looking for, and when we get the final values from Jay on July 1st, we should be
Right,
able to
we need to
provide
know what the,
Thank you.
And then just point of clarification, for the tentative budget, we're presenting what Adam is doing to you. If you still want that 10% exercise, which I think we got consensus out of
Please.
at least 3 people, that would be after the tentative, that the tentative is Adam's budget to you. So I just don't want you guys to, be upset that you're not getting a 10% tentative cut. We can make changes. Let's say you love the 10% cut. We can change the tentative budget before we adopt it, and then you could include everything or nothing in that.
Okay.
Brian, you can go down, you cannot go up.
Correct.
Correct.
As of?
That's good.
I'm going to open it up. Oh, well, I'm going to do other items for discussion, and then we'll open up public comment. So Adam has checked with the constitutionals regarding the suggestion last night about Governor DeSantis's extra time off for 250th. They're open to, now the governor is giving them
Like a week
like a
off.
week off through the 6th, which is a little, I mean, I don't mind doing it, but that would probably not be good in the middle of what we're.
No, we still have to run the
Well,
county.
and we're doing Doge, and we're doing all of that lovely stuff.
Yep.
So is there any particular days that you guys would like to look at?
So they're going to
for extra
follow
time?
our lead?
Right. So the 3rd is a Friday, and then the 4th, which we already had the Friday off. Am I correct? in
Correct.
saying that? The governor's giving the 2nd and the 6th in addition. 6th is a Monday, which seems a little, probably better, actually. You wouldn't have as many days off. So it's up to you if you would like to look at the 2nd or the 6th. 2nd is a Thursday, they're off the Friday, or the 6th, which is the Monday.
And are those paid days off?
I don't think we've done it since you've been here. We've done it before. We sometimes follow the governor's lead when he gives extra days to the state, which has happened once in a while. It's not every time.
I'm in favor of a 4-day weekend. I think that's fair. I think that's something we ought to
Yeah.
do. But not a 6 or 7-day week.
No, I'm leaning towards the 6th
Which is
because,
the Monday?
yeah,
Yeah, I would go with that too.
because,
If-
so. is
If we are,
anybody-
if we are,
Monday.
if you don't mind, if we are discussing a 4-day, I did get an email from the tax collector that said that their preference would be off Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then returning on Monday. And so they
Okay.
would opt for the,
So the
the
2nd.
Thursday through Sunday extent of the July 4th. I think also
You're
the
okay with
quick
that?
feedback I had from the courts
okay with
was
that,
that may work
Everybody
better,
okay
but I
with
don't want to
giving
quote
them the
anybody.
Thursday?
So we're saying Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, they were already off on Friday.
Right, so you'd be adding the
Adding a
Thursday
day.
the 2nd.
Was that the only constitutional that said that they prefer that Thursday?
Yep. Others just came back that I'm recalling, and hopefully I'm not quoting anyone wrong, that they'll follow whatever we come up with.
That makes a lot more
I'm good
sense
with
than
Thursday.
Tuesday.
Is everybody okay
I
with
don't think
Thursday?
it matters
So that
as-
it helps the,
As long as they have
Tax
this
collector.
time to plan, you know.
Yeah.
okay.
Thursday.
Pick a
Thursday,
tick. yeah.
Thursday through,
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Thursday through Sunday.
All right, any other items for discussion for public comment? Mr. Dance, was there anything you wanted to discuss on the budget?
I was watching, at this point, I'll share with Adam the comments that I have. I
Understood.
left without him even,
Understood.
so.
I'm going to go ahead to public comment. This is a 30-minute time period allocated for public comment. Each speaker is allowed up to 3 minutes to address commission. Speakers should approach podium, identify themselves, and direct comments to the chair. No, Mr. Royer? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Anything else before we adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Thank you all for, in the back, for
Right?